Take a breath, darling. This is not a suicide note. I'm sorry for the scare. I can imagine how it must look to you, coming in and finding me like this, the note in one hand, the needle in the other. But I'm not dead, at least not if I measured the dose correctly. I do need an ambulance though, dial now. Average response time, 8 minutes, enough time to explain. Again, I apologise. This was the only way. Please, my love, when you read this, will you hold in your mind the image, the memory of Michael when he was 18 months old? Bright-eyed and sunny, giggling at the slightest silliness, clapping his hands, chatterbabble spilling out of him every waking moment. I know you prefer not to dwell on the past, but I need you to understand why I have chosen this course, which otherwise you might think misguided or even, I hesitate to use the word, insane. I'm a rationalist, you know that. I don't suffer gladly Bibles, horoscopes, crystals, or any other kind of foolery. But science has let us down, hasn't it? Science has no explanation, no cure for what happened to Michael. That's not to say I haven't been scientific in my investigations. No, I've been thorough. I've balanced theoretical against empirical, weighed authority and credibility. There was a lot of material to evaluate, and much of it did seem like nonsense at first. But gradually I began to perceive common threads, a tracery of meaning. I came to realise, and I know this smacks of hubris, that I was on the point of cracking life's most fundamental code. I won't bore you with all my research. You'll find it in a folder called Endymion on my hard drive. But at the core of it were the repeating myths of humanity, the persistent folklore which spans cultures, civilizations, seas. Take fairies. Please bear with me, I know how this sounds. Almost every culture has a similar trope, a race of fantastical beings, rarely perceived, that live alongside us. Or apparitions, divine, ghostly, demonic, presences summoned from outside the earthly domain. Again, all races claim knowledge of such things. Or magic, an idea until recently born pure anathema to me. But why is it that so many peoples cling to the belief that non-physical forces can subdue the physical world? Above all, and this is where you will despair for my mental health, there is the idea of heaven. Life after death, spiritual reward for earthly travail, the conviction, absolute and unshakable, of perfection existing somewhere, attainable. While in some like myself, cynics, depressives, jaded intellectuals, this conviction has lost tenure. Nevertheless, it is characteristic of humanity across time and the globe. Perfection exists somewhere, attainable. We know because we've experienced it, we've been there, and some unconscious part of us remembers and wants to go back. Artists, musicians, thrill seekers, lovers, all channeling a forgotten ecstasy, some cellular vestige of absolute bliss. What I'm saying, my love, is that there is a realm alongside our own, a realm without the burdens of physical existence, a place of transcendence where beings of purest thought manipulate the sublime. They may even be us, before or after existence. I don't know for sure. But they borrow us when we sleep. Think of Michael, his mid-afternoon nap. You remember how you could lift him from stroller to cot without disturbing him at all, how nothing could wake him, not the phone, nor the doorbell, not raucous banging or violent jolting. Where was he? For those 2 hours, where did he go? Think of drunks and addicts, desperate for oblivion, and no idea why, narcoleptics, stolen abruptly from consciousness, coma victims, near-death experiences, the tunnel of light. It all fits, doesn't it? You're wondering what these perfect beings could want with the likes of us. Well, not everyone's taken, of course. I believe that sleep must be particularly deep, what we know as delta sleep, for a sleeper true transition, the type of sleep which occurs most frequently in children and only seldom in the elderly. Do you begin to see? These beings, these entities of pure thought, they want to be entertained. Playfulness, their antic mischief of the physical dimension, is lost to them, and it's for their twinkling devilry that our cheekiest are briefly kidnapped. The problem they don't all make it back, or not all the way. In less enlightened times, these unfortunates might have been called simple, touched perhaps, and more plainly mad. And these days we've all sorts of labels to choose from: bipolar, schizophrenic, catatonic, autistic. Imagine being trapped between these two worlds. The one, all wisdom and beauty, the other, ugliness and confusion, without full access to either. Imagine the effect on a child of 18 months. Do you understand now why I had to go, and why I couldn't share my discoveries with you or anyone else? I would have been judged deluded, made rational by grief for my stricken son, and I know you'd only do this if you truly believed it for the best, but how could I risk it? Probably refer to a secure unit for my own safety. I researched the dose carefully and sourced the drug from a reputable source. There are some advantages to a university position. Show the vial to the medics. They'll know what to do. I feared that sleep alone would not carry me there, you see. I had to be sure, and the only certain way of transitioning, it seems, is through death. Near death, Helen. I'm almost 100% certain I can be revived. Just be at my bedside, my darling, with Michael. Because when I come back, I'm bringing him with me.